Jesus wants you to be content. Listen to what the Apostle Paul said. He's now writing the church at Philippi, and he says, "For me," this is the Apostle Paul speaking, "to live is Christ. He is my source of joy and my reason to live, and to die is gain, for I will be with him eternally." Now, I used to read this and wonder, did Paul have some kind of a death wish? I mean, because when you read it on the surface, it can kind of sound like that, doesn't it? I mean, to live is Christ and to die is gain. But here's the thing. I don't believe for a minute that Paul had a death wish. I believe he discovered that living for heaven made this life better, and it brought a level of anticipation into leaving this body and living eternally in heaven. I mean, wouldn't that be great if we could really get there where we weren't necessarily looking forward to dying? I mean, because come on, we know some people, don't we? That's their approach to life. They don't want to live this life anymore. I mean, all we got to do, I'm sure Ben as a police officer and working in the school system, you know this, you'll amen this. More and more people are looking at leaving this body as a way out. And that's not what Jesus wanted. He wanted us to live this life. And he wanted us to look forward to leaving this body and being with him in heaven, but not with the idea that we needed to speed it up or take it into our own hands. He wanted us to have a level of enjoyment in this life. Paul knew that when he turned his mind toward heaven and began to live not just for this life, but when he lived this life with heaven in mind, it improved this life and it took away all fear of the next life. Now, come on, we've all noticed that being happy all the time isn't possible. It's just not possible. And if we're not careful, pursuing happiness, pursuing a life of happiness can actually be detrimental to us. Listen to what a Nobel Prize winning psychologist said, Dr. Kahneman. He said, "We can experience happiness in our lives, but we experience satisfaction with our lives." Now, you really have to think about that for a minute, but listen to what this psychologist is saying. We can experience happiness in our lives. We can experience momentary happiness, but we experience satisfaction with our lives. I think that's what the Apostle Paul was saying. He was saying, now I understand that living this life is for Christ. The way I live my life, living is Christ. It allows me to experience satisfaction. Here's what another doctor said, Dr. Jennifer Gutman. She says, happiness is fleeting. Happiness is fleeting. When we experience happiness, we get a rush of dopamine, and then it wears off. And then we come down from it. Any drug addicts in the room? Don't raise your hand. But see, I'm a 70s child. I grew up in the pot smoking era, and the one thing, there's a police officer here, so this is not a confession, okay? But we grew up in an era where we would smoke pot, and then what would happen after we did? We would come down. You get the munchies. No, I mean, we don't realize it, but our bodies produce chemicals. We don't even have to take something in externally. We can actually pursue happiness and get addicted to this infusion of dopamine, and when we come down from it, then our only choice is to pursue it again. We have to have that rush again and again and again. And what these doctors are saying is that when we pursue happiness for that reason, it can not only it not only does not lead us to happiness, it can actually lead us to a depressed life. Because, come on, we can put a lot of time and energy into pursuing happiness and then have it fall short, can't we? I think Jesus was saying there's a better way. There's a better way.